What's up everybody, Tommy here, Math Productions Gaming, and this video I'm doing a little tutorial, tips and tricks, how-to for some Building Mechanics 101. We're starting on the ground level, literally, with 3 tips that in my opinion are fundamental, must-dos, must-knows when you start building out your settlements when it comes to building things on the ground. So we'll get right into it here. What's this guy want? No, I'm not here to spy on you, bro. What? So anyway, number 1, it is about a mod. Even if you don't use mods, you should definitely use the Scrap That Settlement mod. Like, trust me, check this out on screen. So many things, not just for the building materials and those basic resources, which is incredibly clutch, makes it so there's much more abundance to be able to build much more in the game when you can just scrap and get those those resources on your own. But also look at how much it's cleaning up the debris, it's clearing out building spaces, it's just making it so you can actually repurpose these locations. I do enjoy building in vanilla as is, and it is fun in my opinion to leave some of these obstacles to be able to not just incorporate them aesthetically into the build that you're doing, but maybe even like build around them or feature or incorporate different things into your build. I do think that's super cool, but clear out the stuff you don't need. It's so worth it. Number 2, go to the barn category of your building types, go into the miscellaneous section of that, and then in there are posts. There are short posts and there are longer posts. This is about, see how this stair piece, that floor is just floating? I do not like that. There's no structural integrity, at least for realistic physics, and simply by putting posts in, it feels so much more complete. Maybe this is just a personal thing for me. I don't know. I don't think I'm in the minority. I think that there's a few others at least that would agree, but it just looks so much better when builds are not floating, when they're not just free floating with no structural support whatsoever. It takes so much immersion immediately out of the game, just visually, because you now know instantly, even though you know it's a video game, and this I guess just a broader thing about immersion, but even though you know it's a video game, there are certain things that are reality based that you can forgive other things that are completely outside of reality based. But when you're talking about building and structural integrity, that's ingrained because it's part of our reality. It's ingrained in our perspective because it's part of our reality. So for me, again, you could have the coolest build in the world, but if you just have free floating platforms with no foundational support, no structural integrity, if you got roofs that are just floating out of nowhere, that one good windstorm in real life, you know it would take that roof down. Again, go to the structures, barn, miscellaneous, and in there are the posts. Those are a game changer. Now the last tip here, number 3, it seems basic, but I want to emphasize it. It's the floors themselves and how important it is for a realistic type build, if that's your intention, which that is what this tip is geared towards. But your floors are going to have structural support, foundational support. So Tommy, what exactly do you mean by that? Very fair question. It's super easy now to see on screen as we built out further away from the wall, those foundational pieces those floor pieces without foundations underneath, they were floating on top of the sidewalk. They weren't sitting on the sidewalk, they were floating above it. So by choosing the floor option that has a foundation with it, now all of a sudden it makes sense why that floor is actually raised up off the concrete. It's because it's on a structural support, it's on a foundational support. I will concede that for what you're seeing on screen, the wood foundation on top of the sidewalk, it looks better than not, in my opinion, than like just having them floating there in midair. I already addressed on point number 2 that at least me personally, I do not like that at all. So it's better than nothing. but realistically, the concrete foundations would have been more appropriate. Man, tongue-tied. For what I'm doing here, because even though the concrete wouldn't have matched aesthetically exactly, it probably would have made sense in regards to those ideas of structural integrity and foundational support. Probably would have made more sense to have some concrete in there. But either way, again, tip number 3 was choose floors that don't float. Choose the ones with foundations. Here's a little extra bonus tip for anybody that likes to create content. If you film raw footage and you forget to have either an opening or a closing type scene, you can use the same footage, just like reverse it and shrink it down a little bit. And had I not pointed it out, would you have caught it? But I hope you liked this video. If you did, I hope you press the like button. I hope you consider subscribing to the channel. Let me know in the comments what you think, and take care.